What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable, powered by BetUS. Week 12 is in the books tonight. We turn the page to Week 13, 4 games within the division, and we will preview them all right here on the NFL Week 13 preview episode of the NFC West Roundtable. Without further ado, let's bring in the boys, Mike, Brandon, Jesse, and Jake. Once again, with the layouts here, you figured I would have last time. I haven't. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to want to do what I needed to do, but I'll get there eventually. As I see Jake, a little bit.
There's two eyes of Jake looking over the top.
That's incredible. I'll get rid of the preview.
That's the Rams and 49ers right now. Just
looking. There's something symbolic in that, Z-Bot.
Yeah. Creeping over the top to see what's going on at the top of that division. All of these teams right now are neck and neck. Currently, as it stands, the Cardinals are the favorite to win it, but we have two teams at 6-5 at the top, two teams at 5-6 at the bottom. Each one of these games coming up this week is huge for each one of these teams. So we'll head over to BetUS right now to dive into the Week 13 slate, and we will start with the Cardinals taking on the Minnesota Vikings in the 1 p.m. window. Cardinals on the road are a 3.5-point dog against the Vikings, who it feels like they're just starting. It's weird how quiet everybody's being about Minnesota because of how great Detroit and Philadelphia have been playing. But Minnesota right there in the mix for a potential 1 seed, depending on how the rest of the season goes. By the way, all of the Week 13 lines are currently up on BetUS. Use the promo code YouTube150, and that'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. All right, so the Cardinals currently are a 3.5-point dog on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Jake, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the Cardinals coming off that loss to Seattle. How are they going to look this upcoming weekend against the Vikings?
This is a bad matchup for the Cardinals. This is the best run defense in the National Football League. It's not remotely close. They're averaging a little bit over 70 yards given up on the ground, but the last 3, they're allowing 55. I just don't like this at all for Arizona. I said coming off the bye, I felt like this team was hot. I thought the bye would slow them down, and did not like that matchup, mainly because I felt like Seattle's finally healthy. Sure enough, Seattle did exactly what I expected them to do. I think Arizona will hang around, but I don't think taking away the run game, if you go back and you look at Arizona this year, it's been hard for them to win football games without having that run game. James Conner just helps you with this new era where you have a lot of these linebackers, more new age, smaller, quicker, faster, all of that, not stronger. And that's the thing, that having a guy like James Conner can really kind of, not negate that. And so I think the Vikings do such a great job of taking away the run game and especially I think this is the best they're playing. I don't like them in this one. I'm going to take the Vikings 24-13.
Jesse, your thoughts on the Cardinals against the Vikings?
Yeah, this is a tough game, and I feel like if the Cardinals want to win this division, this is one that they're going to have to win because they lost last week. And Minnesota is so beatable, though. That's what's kind of like holding me into this. Is like I watch Minnesota every week, and every week I'm like, this team shouldn't win a lot of these games. I respect what they do. I think they have one of the better coaching staffs in the NFL. They've done a fantastic job. Sam Darnold's still Sam Darnold. He's going to give the opportunities to the Arizona Cardinals. Can they take advantage of it? That I don't know. I'll go with Minnesota to win, but I do think it's going to be close. I'll go 27-23, Minnesota.
Brandon, your Hawks just defeated these Cardinals. Now they're taking on the Vikings. Your thoughts on how they'll fare against Minnesota?
I don't think the Cardinals are going anywhere. I don't think that this is going to be them now being exposed. But at the same point in time, to Jake's point, this is a game that's about styles as much as it's about, do you have more talent than the opposition does? And they stopped the run, which is how the Cardinals want to live. Flores, with those same kind of stack boxes and simulated pressures that my guy McDonald ran this last week, is going to see that on tape, and he is going to unleash it in full, especially the second that he's got the run stuff to get you behind the sticks, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. And I just don't like that from their offense. And it's a team Cardinals-wise that's driven first most by their offense. Their defense hard hats it, does their best. They're kind of holding on out there. Maybe Darius Robinson finally coming back into play and being ready can help a little bit there. But at the end of the day, I just don't think the styles are good here for the Cardinals, especially again, 10 a.m. on the road. Those are tough games for West Coast teams. I got a 24-13 Vikings.
All right, Mike, talk to me. How are the Cardinals bouncing back this weekend?
Oh, yeah, it's a tough matchup. No, I agree with everybody. This is a very tough matchup. But I think when it comes down to it, this 3-game stretch, the way that we kind of broke it down here amongst like the fan base, you got to have at least 2 of 3, right? We already lost one. And this is just more speaking. This is not to disrespect the Vikings fans out there. This is just out of desperate. You want to stay within this division, you got to take care of business, right? And this is a game that you got to win, right? So I'm going to lean on hope here. I know the matchup is definitely not good, being the fact that they are one of the best run defense team. So that really does suck. But the Cardinals need to find a way. They absolutely do. I mean, we've seen Kyler Murray play really, really good. Toting the rock, or spinning the rock here with Marvin or Michael Wilson or Trey McBride. We got to lean on the idea that if James Conner is not a factor, and probably is not going to be this game, we're going to have to get Kyler Murray involved some way or another. So just optimism. I'm just laying out here because I do feel like there's a lot of good takeaways that I could say about this defense for the Arizona Cardinals. Although the fact that we don't have those big star-studded names other than Budda Baker, we showed up. We showed up really, really well versus the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm hoping and leaning on the fact that we are going to cause a turnover or two. It caused at least 3 or 4 sacks against Sam Darnold, and hopefully start seeing some damn ghosts. So I'm going to say the Cardinals do win. I say 27-23 Cardinals. And like I said, I'm throwing Hail Mary up there. We need this win to stay within the division. I'm leaning on optimism here.
Let's stay in the 1 p.m. window where the Seahawks, the Seattle Seahawks, are a 1-point favorite over the New York Jets. I got a feeling what I'm betting on this upcoming week on BetUS. Seahawks 1-point favorite on the road against the Jets team coming off of a bye, as we just mentioned. The Seahawks coming off that big W over the Arizona Cardinals. Mike, I'll go right back to you here. Since you just played these Seahawks, how do you think they'll play against the Jets coming off of a bye?
Go Jets. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, this is a good team, man. The Seattle Seahawks have a very good defense. Like, what we saw was a wake-up call. And I'm glad it happened now as opposed to a game that we needed in the end of the season, right? So I'm glad it happened right now. We're still at the number 2 of the spot in the division. Yeah, but I do think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game. The Jets are just in shambles right now. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm going to say the Seattle Seahawks do win pretty convincingly. I would say 24-10. Seahawks win this game.
Jesse, your thoughts on the Hawks this week against the Jets?
Well, you're a division rival when at every turn the Seahawks want to make me look stupid, because for a year and a half I talked about how talented this team was and people need to look closer at the roster. And once they get coached up, and then when I finally jump off the bandwagon, they win 2 straight and the defense looks absolutely dominant. So, what do I know? That I'll say this, the Seahawks talent has been there. It's just a matter of putting it together. And right now, defensively, they're putting it together. The Jets are in absolute shambles. Now, Seattle is traveling about as far as you can go from west to east. So maybe there's something there. But ultimately, I just think the Jets are a really bad franchise. A lot of crazy stuff going on with Aaron Rodgers over there. Devontae Adams, some things coming from his camp as well. I just don't see the Seahawks losing this one. So I will go 30-17 Seahawks.
Jake, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, if the Jets want to win, then the only way that's going to happen is if Woody Johnson steps down, because I think the sheer joy of everyone around the Jets might actually propel them to have their best game of the year. They have no chance. None. They're going to take away Breece Hall. They're going to take away Braylon Allen. They're going to take away whoever the hell you throw at them. So Seattle will stop the run. Then they're going to pressure Aaron Rodgers, who has, we just talked about it, no mobility. The offensive line is an upgrade from last year, but what does that really mean? Nothing. So Seattle will get pressure. Seattle will stop the run. Geno Smith, revenge game. You think Geno Smith going back and playing the Jets, you don't think he has some angst? Look at what Darnold's doing. Look at what Geno's doing. And you see this organization just completely falling apart at the seams. Geno's going to come out and have the best game of the season, in my opinion. This is a team that, make no mistake about it, they're actually a really good defense, okay? But the issue is the offense is going to be so stifled. The defense will be out there all game, and Geno Smith and the rest of the Seahawks offense is going to lay waste to them. I think it's going to be a 30-9 ball game, Seattle.
High praise, Brandon, from Jake. What are your thoughts on this one?
I like Jake's outlook on it. I will say that. It's a game where we're starting to feel like we're rolling now, and we've got things locked into place here where the defense last 3 weeks in a row has played really solidly, and this Jets offense has really struggled to find its footing there with Rodgers. I think Rodgers might have a hamstring issue going on with his left leg there, because when he's trying to plant and put that front foot out there, he just can't really set his feet. That's part of, I think, sometimes why we get these blind throws where he just goes, and I'll just throw it there. If the guy's there or not, I'm going to throw it. Or if he's open or he's breaking, I'll throw it. So it is a game that I think we should be able to take fairly comfortable, like a 23-13 kind of game. At the same point in time, though, the Jets do have a decent running game when it's hot. It can be hard to stop. And then they've got that front four defensively that can get after you. And we've had a hard time, even last week against the Cardinals, in stopping the pass rush. So you take a Jets team that might be a little bit limping through here on this, but they have still something where they're dangerous and can hurt us where we're most vulnerable. So where this game probably comes down to as a bottom line, beyond how Geno plays or how the defense plays, is can that offensive line hold up against that pass rush of the Jets, which is pretty talented.
Be an interesting one for sure. I think the Jets coming off of a bye, we'll see what happens based on the turmoil that they've been facing all year long. And now you're getting the talks about Aaron Rodgers' future there. So they could be so distracted that the Seahawks take advantage of it. I would imagine that they do, but we shall see. That game in the 1 p.m. window. We'll move to the 4 p.m. window where the Rams are looking to bounce back, and they need this one. The Rams are a 3-point road favorite against the New Orleans Saints at 4:05 Eastern time. Rams absolutely have to have this one, especially when you look at their upcoming schedule. 3 division games remaining, the Bills after this upcoming game. So this is the one on paper that it looks like they should have. The question is, will they have it? Mike, do the Rams get it done against the Saints?
Sorry. Yeah. Well, this is going to be an interesting matchup. I mean, I think that they might be a favorite. I mean, obviously the Rams do pretty darn well, but I mean, the New Orleans Saints aren't a bad team. I mean, yeah, they got 4 wins, but Derek Carr wasn't playing for, a few of those games. But I mean, with the weapons that they got, I mean, primarily Alvin Kamara, he's a really good running back. I don't know. I just kind of see like this game not working out very well for the Rams. And I don't mean like getting blown out or anything like that. I just feel like it might be one of those things where like it's a Taysom Hill game and then they can't stop the run with Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. And it's just going to be one of those things where it's just like, they don't know what to do. So I'm going to say the Rams upset. I'm sorry. Wow. The Saints upset the Rams on this one. I'm going to say 21-17. The Saints win.
Interesting. Jesse, your thoughts? Do the Saints have an opportunity here for an upset, or do the Rams get it done?
Well, if the Rams lose to the Saints, then Jake will agree it's time to stick a fork in them. But
forks out.
This game, I do agree with Mike, is going to be closer than maybe Rams fans would like it to be. I believe they're in New Orleans. That always helps. And the Saints are a team that's still kind of putting up a fight here, and they can score points. So I think it can get interesting, but I do think the Rams, being very desperate right now, needing a win, Super Bowl winning coach, Super Bowl winning quarterback, I gotta lean towards them winning. But I think 27-24, something like that, it could be that type of game.
Brandon, what are your thoughts? Bounce back spot for the Rams or tougher than advertised?
I think that the desperation factor here, as it fits to the Rams a bit, is the thing that allows them to really push through, where it's sort of, hey, throw everything we got at this thing, because we lose, and it is pretty much, you're not much having a chance, because it's going to be a close game. So I think it would come down to something as simple as that, is we just brought out all we had to bear here to try to make this happen. And this is not a matchup I like any more than I like kind of a bit for the Cardinals to the Vikings matchup, where you do have a Saints team that is really good with that offensive line, like the Rams just faced this last week with the Eagles. They can really get after you in the run blocking element. Now, they're a little more susceptible as far as getting after in the pass rush, and we know with this Rams defensive line that they can get home on the front four there alone. But that's the same team that'll know that they can just lean on that run if it's there and stay with it. And I worry about that part of the Rams still. I think that the desperation factor here, that you're just going to do what you can no matter what, squeeze out the win at the end. It's 1 o'clock rather than a 10 a.m. game on the road there, which I think also changes it a little bit from their perspective. So let's give them the nod, 2017.
Jake, it's one you got to have. Are they getting it done on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, they'll get it done. I do think the Saints, as Mike brought up, a great point, by the way, the Saints are not the same team that they were when they didn't have Derek Carr. So that record is not really relevant, except for deciding who makes the playoffs or not. But as far as what they are as a team, that's not really evident of what they are. Now, Chris Olave getting hurt, that hurts, right? So I can't just, discount that. They've also had some other injuries. What I'll say is this. I think people are going to look at what Saquon Barkley did and just assume this Rams defense can't stop the run. That's just not true. Since the bye week, they did a great job of stopping the run. They hadn't allowed a 100-yard rusher until Barkley. And a lot of those runs came on some huge explosives. And I understand people love Alvin Kamara, and I get it. I love Alvin Kamara too. I think he's a fantastic player. But Alvin Kamara is not, he doesn't have that breakaway speed that Barkley has. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand. He ran a 4.5 40, and you see it. Like, he's fast, but he can be brought down. His longest run this year is under 25 yards. So this isn't somebody that I'm concerned with is going to do what Barkley did, turn nothing into a 70-yard touchdown. I do think the Rams kind of changed a little bit of what they wanted to do, and I think they were a little bit overzealous with their, essentially their run assignments, their gap assignments. Kobe Turner even alluded to that. They changed some things up for this game, and I think those adjustments might have hurt them. I don't expect them to do that in this one. The big thing for the Rams and their defense is that they can get pressure, and Derek Carr is not really that mobile. He can move around a little bit, but he's not Jalen Hurts, right? And so I think that is really going to bode well for them. I also think I had a chance to, see some of those guys in person. They seemed a little pissed off. I think they're going to come out, firing. And I do think this offense knows, right now, it's put up or shut up. You may have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford. No one gives a rip. Go out there and execute. And last year, kind of around this time last year, we saw two desperate teams. Because, by the way, Jesse, you mentioned the Rams are desperate. I think the Saints are desperate too. That division, while not likely, they could win that division. They could. It's still open. The Falcons have just absolutely pissed away their opportunity. That division is open. Tampa's dealing with injuries. Baker's trying to drag them kicking and screaming. Still an open division. So I think the Saints, you're going to get their best. But I do think with the Rams, you're also going to get their best. I got 27-20. I've said it before on this show, and I'll say it again. The Rams don't blow teams out, and I'm not going to pick them to blow them out this time. I learned my lesson with the Cardinals game. Never again am I picking a blowout. This team just doesn't blow teams out, especially good teams.
Let's move to Sunday Night Football under the lights in Orchard Park, where it is expected to be a snowstorm in Buffalo. The Niners on the road taking on the Bills, coming off of a bye. Sean McDermott 7-0 all time, by the way, coming off of a bye, and that might factor into the reason the Bills. I got to tell you, this line's crazy to me. A 7-point favorite are the Bills at home on Sunday Night Football. Might think there's a overreaction there on that number based on what we saw from San Fran against Green Bay, plus the injuries. Who knows? But regardless, as it stands right now, a full 7-point favorite are the Buffalo Bills at home on Sunday Night Football. Mike, I'll start with you here. Niners really banged up this past weekend. That didn't help when it came to losing 38-10 against the Packers. They should have those guys back this week. At the very least, you're hoping Purdy, because I don't know how challenging they're going to be without him. But your thoughts, if they're healthy going into this game, what the Niners pose against the Bills?
I mean, do we really need to talk about this game? Like, do we really? I'm just kidding. No, I mean, well, this game here's the thing. Like, I know that the 49ers, they were going to lose regardless versus the Green Bay Packers regardless. Now, obviously that big spread in terms of points scored, it probably would be a little different if Brock Purdy was there, but we're talking about a different beast. Like Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills, like they're completely different levels there. So like, I don't know. I feel like you're entering a stretch right here where the San Francisco 49ers I don't think they're not going to know how to get out of this. Like in the winter storm, Josh Allen, James Cook, like they are going to absolutely dominate the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know how to say it nicely. Like they are. They're going to beat the living crud out of them. I can definitely predict something like a 35-13 win, the Buffalo Bills. I just think this game is going to be way too much. I don't think a West Coast team does very well in the snow. I know we don't as well. So the element factor, and on top of that, you're playing MVP Josh Allen, one of the best freaking quarterbacks in the NFL. Like there's just, I'm not going to sit here and even think that the 49ers have any chance. I'm going to say 35-13, and that's just me being generous.
Brandon, what are your thoughts? That type of game, or are you thinking closer here?
Well, it's fitting that Jesse a couple of weeks ago, when he thought that the Niners were getting close, kind of whited out his screen, because it seems like maybe a whiteout is what's going to finally put this Niner team to bed. And I pretty much feel where Mike does on this one, that this is a game that's probably going to be lost by a couple of touchdowns, even if Bosa comes back. I saw a couple of weeks ago, he left that game at crunch time walking off the field. If he could have used that leg, made it happen, a couple of weeks later, that thing isn't feeling better. So when he's out, that Niner defense is in a different place. The vibes have been off all year long. One thing is Debo's got one thing after another every week, not going to the press conference this last week after throat choking his long snapper a couple of weeks ago. It's you're going into Buffalo, that environment on top of it. I just think 27-13 is where it all lands out.
Jake, thoughts on Sunday night?
I think people are absolutely not understanding the gravity of the situation here. 49ers are desperate. Mike, you could not be more wrong. I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
49ers are desperate. This is prime time, and there's going to be snow. If it's heavy snow, this game is going to be a one-score game. We just watched a team that's clearly better than another team lose, the Steelers, okay? The Steelers lost to the Browns because it was a snow game. If there was no snow on the ground, that game's a blowout. The Steelers are clearly a better team. They are just, it's not even close. I want to point you in the direction, and Z-Bot will know exactly what I'm talking about. Back in 2017, there was a 3-10 Colts team that came to Buffalo, New York in a December game that was absolutely just covered in snow. It was a meme. LaShawn McCoy getting up. You remember the picture? LaShawn McCoy gets up, his whole face mask is snow. The Bills won that game by a score of 13-7. I think with heavy snow, I think the Bills are going to win, but the 49ers are going to make this a game. This is going to be close. And I would go as far as to say if they know how to use Jordan Mason like they did at the beginning of the year, they can steal this game. They can. But I'm going to say the Bills win this one. Just ugly, ugly game in the snow. I'm going to say they win 20-14.
Jesse, thoughts on what we see on Sunday night?
I don't think we're going to see a crazy snow game, at least by the forecast. It's definitely going to be cold. Listen, the 49ers have a really good opportunity. Dre Greenlaw, they've opened up his practice window. The 49ers oftentimes don't open practice windows until players are ready. So there's a chance Dre Greenlaw plays. Charvarius Ward has been in the building for almost 2 weeks. They're just trying to get him back in shape after missing a few weeks due to a personal matter. He should play. Trent Williams was close to playing, so he should play. Brock Purdy lightly threw today. If that continues to progress, he will play. And Bosa also has a chance to play. Now, a couple new injuries. Right guard Dominic Pooney, who's been fantastic, had a shoulder MRI. We don't know the results of that. And Diamador Lenore also had an MRI on his knee. We don't know the results of that. But this might be the healthiest the 49ers have been all year long. And I agree with Jake. They are going to be super desperate. This is a true must-win game. I know, stick a fork in them and all that. And Josh Allen is my favorite non-49er in the league. With all that said, I'm going to go with the 49ers to win this thing. 20. No, the fuck I'm not. They're not winning anything. Get out of here. Listen, Josh Allen is going to torch the San Francisco 49ers, man. This thing shouldn't be close. Brock Purdy has shown he cannot throw when the ball gets moist. Pause. He just can't do it. And so now you're going to add cold weather.
He's not a moist man.
He's not a moist ball type of guy. So, I mean, listen, I don't see the 49ers being able to hang with the Buffalo Bills coming off of a bye week. 49ers went to Green Bay, went all the way back to Santa Clara. Then they got to travel all the way back to New York. This is a Tom Brady style roast on Sunday Night Football. The whole world's going to be watching. It's super unfortunate that the team that we once knew has to come to an end like this. Pretty embarrassing fashion, but I'm going to go 30-17 Buffalo Bills.
Wow. Well, there you have it, folks. The Week 13 picks are locked in. Cannot wait to see how it all unfolds. Cannot wait to talk with all of you about how it all unfolded on the next episode of the NFC West Roundtable. In order to be notified of that episode and all upcoming episodes, hit that subscribe button on your way out. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button too, if you'd be so kind. Also, on the way out the door, all of the lines we discussed tonight and all of the Week 13 lines in general are up right now on BetUS. Use the promo code YouTube150, and that'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. For Mike, Brandon, Jake, and Jesse, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much for tuning in to the NFC West Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go Cards.